Hey, what's going on, Facebook? This is A.L. Johnson. I'm your host for Elevating Men. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. This is definitely one that you're going to want to share. That you want to save this. You want to take notes because we're going to have some really good, powerful information. And so, here about a month and a half ago, I started this group called Elevating Men with the purpose of helping men become their best selves. I believe that that's really important because strong men build strong families, and stronger families build better communities. And so it's really important that we elevate and uplift our men. Now, this month, February, is Black History Month. And so that's something that is very important to us. We definitely want to respect and honor that. It's also Heart Month, American Heart Month. And so, where we focus on our health, we focus on things that we can control. As most of you know, I have an insurance agency, and so I deal with people on a daily basis who are, looking to get life insurance coverage. A portion of that has to deal with your health at the time that you apply, and you'd be surprised the number of people that I meet under the age of 50 who have, diabetes, high blood pressure, people in their 50s who have had multiple strokes, who have had heart attacks. These are things that we can control. We can control the food that we put in our mouths. We can control the activity that we take part in. And so today I wanted to bring on a special guest who's extremely knowledgeable on this topic. He's a former IFBB pro bodybuilder. He's also a personal trainer and a pastor of United Missionary Baptist Church, Mr. Mike Patton. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you doing, sir? God bless you. God
God
bless
bless
you.
you too. God bless you too. First, I want to say that
Happy to be here.
I appreciate you 100%. One, for taking out the time out of your busy schedule,
Oh, I
to
love it.
talk to my people. I
Yes,
really,
yes,
really appreciate that. You could be doing anything. You could be pumping some iron, eating some chicken, or
yes. I've
whatever
already
you do.
done all that, man.
Look, you're real close in the camera, so everybody can't see what's going on here. But I'm telling y'all, this is a big brother, man. I'm telling you, big brother.
I'm just
Now,
trying to hold on, brother. Just trying to
oh
hold on.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Now he's very knowledgeable. I can tell you, I started, or let me say, restarted my personal fitness journey here a couple of years ago. And one of the first things that I did was I actually reached out to Brother Patton here. So I went over to his gym, Mike's Main Event. He did an assessment for me, all free of charge. He checked my body fat levels, my weight. He did some measurements on me, and he really, really motivated. He gave me some great tips to get started. And so, how am I doing, Mike? How am I? You
Man, you
coming
trimming down, brother. You look like an hourglass. You're ripped and shredded from the
together?
head to the toe, brother.
Man, I'm trying to get like you. I got a long way to
Oh,
go
man.
for that.
Woo.
There it is. There it is. So let's tell everybody a little bit about yourself. So I know what you mean when you say IFBB Pro. For those who don't know, what is that all about?
Well, I'm not an IFBB pro. I'm an NPC champion, seven-time champion. I almost made it to the IFBB, which is International Federation of Bodybuilders. And
Yes,
these are
sir.
pros like with Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, that I've trained with. My trainer for 20 years was Charles Glass, which they call the godfather of
Oh
bodybuilding.
wow, I didn't
And as
know
a matter of
that.
fact, oh yeah, 20 years I went back and forth because I'm from Compton and I train up at Gold's Gym in Venice. And it's really a privilege and an honor to even go there today. And my name is still resonating around the people that are there. Met a lot of important people. Training with Ronnie Coleman was a whole nother different experience. And at the very hiatus of his career,
I can
and I'm
only
doing
imagine.
legs with this guy whose legs was bigger than my body.
Oh
So
man.
it was
So
it
tell
was
me,
something. Huh?
what in your journey brought you to Kansas City from California?
Well, I had a double scholarship for baseball and football at Baker University, and that's when I got into exercise science and situations that were basically very antiquated at the time. Came into that school in 1979, the fall of, and I came out in 1983, and so I continued my education dealing with fully persuaded, dear Maria, and I just continued. And then I stayed here. I got married at the time, and my first baby, who just turned 37, Dr. Tavia Beasley, now who got her doctorate, she lives in Nashville. And I just am so blessed. And so I started working for International Fitness Centers back in 1984. And then from that, I did my first bodybuilding show in 1986. Of course, I lost, but I won my first national of my first natural. Well, it wasn't a natural. I can't say that. It was my first regional, the Heart of America, a bodybuilding championship in 1989, and I was the first black to win that. Then I did my first national show in 1981, the Heart of the North America, in which that's when Charles started training me, and I had another trainer with me, Randy Cummings, and I took seventh out of 35 in my first as a light heavyweight. Then
Okay.
1993, I took seventh again at the USA, which is the biggest, in which a Chris Cormier and guys like that won. And I won, and I was the first African American to win Mr. Missouri in 1993, and I won it in 1999. I did nationals again at the age of 41. I took second at nationals out of 40 in my class, and I almost got my card, but it just wasn't meant to be. But I started my own business back in 1992,
Okay.
and from there, I branched off and started doing what I feel God called me to do
I see. I see.
in that field.
So to boil all that down, you know what you're talking about.
Well, I got a
You
little
know,
pedigree behind me, a
you
little bit of
got a
resume.
little information. So
Yeah.
so let's help some people out today. Let's help some people
Okay.
out today.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So, like I said, February is
Brother
American.
Mel, good to see you, brother.
Yes. It is American Heart Month, and we know specifically in the Black community, but really it's the American diet. I believe it's loaded with salt and sodium, MSGs, all these things that are bad for us. It's really hard, especially with the quarantine having just gone on. People are ordering out more and more DoorDash, more fast food, etc. What do you feel is the main reason that our community deals with these issues like heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes? What is the issue?
Well, one of the issues being with the CAB Community Activist Board for the years that I've been is the point of availability and low economic deprivation.
Okay.
And when you have people that don't have the resources as it relates to money to get the necessities and things that they need in order to have a functionally healthy life, having a place to work out because of the inadequacies, now you're in a situation where you're dealing with people that are living a substandard nutritional type of dietary plan in which they don't have a person next door to them or around them or a culture or an environment that promotes that. Look at our commercials. Look at what we have around us in the inner city. If I have 5 kids, if I have 6 kids, if I
Right.
don't have a person there now to facilitate the monies or child support that I need, I'm more subject to go to Church's Chicken or KFC or Nieces and get me a 10 bucket chicken for $5. I want to be fed. I'm not worried about the long term effects of my health.
Wow. So point is, man, how much of it do you think is you know uh, proximity and income and resources versus just the palate has been trained because when it comes down to it, we used to grandma's cooking. From down
Right.
south, sort of fried chicken and mashed potatoes all the time, rice every day, bread
Right.
all the time, rolls at every meal. How much of it do you think is preference over, just what's available?
Well, see, we must understand, my brother and my brothers and sisters, that this is called systemic racism. Okay, and it goes all the way back to 1938, 1948, during the Depression, how the whole points of welfare and where we were placed. Understand that there's no such thing as race. God didn't make race, God made tribes. We use race as a dichotomy now to put people in certain categories so far as the ghetto. So where do you put all the people? We put them in the ghetto to now keep them there so they won't expand. We know the point of Juneteenth. We had all these businesses in Oklahoma, I think it was, and 400 people, 400 businesses were just torn away. We have $1 trillion asset in which we never see because we're placed and all we see on TV are the good times. All we see is the what's happening. All we see is the San Francisco. So yes, we love the shows, but look at the dichotomy. Look at the background of what we see. It's called subliminal seduction. What happens is that when you look at race, you look at ghetto, who you think about? You think about black. You think about Sanford and Son. You think about this poor, just barely making it folk. But when you saw all in the family, you saw a person that was poor, but they had a job. You saw a mother that stayed at home, but she was raising a child. She was having these things around him that facilitated not a junkyard, but the American white way of life. Now, what happens to us? What do we see? We see good times living in an impoverished area in Chicago, three
Mhm.
children, right? At a
Right.
point where you had the drug dealers, you fought against this, you fought against. So, what did we see on that? Big bowls of grits, and big bowls of fried foods. So, we didn't see anything that changed until we saw the Cosby Show. And so now the subliminal seduction is now the palate is now what has been integrated into our mind, and our mindset hasn't changed because we have not been educated to update us as to where we need to be in the now contemporary time. That's
So,
one of
so,
the issues.
so fast forward into now. So we can make our own decisions and things like that. You're
But
absolutely right.
we can't make our own decisions without having a choice what to decide from.
Hmm.
See, that's
And
that's the
so,
issue.
how do we tackle this issue? Because we know it's a problem. Our community is unhealthy.
Mhm.
Um, when it comes to affordability, I completely understand that. So, like you said, you take a mother, she's got 3 or 4 children. It's cheaper to go get that bucket of chicken than to go to Whole
Mhm.
Foods and get the organic,
Mhm.
fruits and vegetables that she
Mhm.
needs.
Mhm.
Um, what are some solutions for people in that situation?
Well, what we do is, as I did at Elder Newton's church, as I did when he was alive, and what I've done at Pastor Collins' church, and what I've done at Pastor Lindsay's church and other churches, I've gone and opened up a platform of discussion, a Q&A, because it has to be a point. Okay, if I don't have the money, what resources can I use now to make things healthy? So then I talk about the plant proteins and why the importance of the proteins are important to the body. Why is it that I need certain types of carbohydrates? What are carbohydrates? You have slow, you have fast. This is what you need in your body. So we have three different types of metabolisms that we want to deal with that has to be on a systemic type of regimen. We have heart metabolism, we have digestive metabolism, we have muscle metabolism. All of those have to be working in a system. So you teach those. You have big forms of people that come to have Q&A from a person that's been doing this for 32 years of his life. And
Right,
it's been a byproduct and my health and how I am at this age of almost 60 years old. I'm out training cats half my age.
man. I'm trying to be
My
like you
energy
when I
level.
grow up, bro. At 60, and that's a big thing. That was a big part of me getting back into physical fitness was the energy. I just felt so sluggish. Like, I
Mm-hmm,
mean, I'd hit
mm-hmm,
noon, and I'm
mm-hmm,
down in coffee, and I'd already
mm-hmm,
had 2 cups in the morning or whatever. I
mm-hmm,
noticed once I picked up my physical activity. I'm not
mm-hmm.
sure if it's the additional oxygen that your body's able to receive because your cardiovascular system is stronger. But now, I mean, I barely need rest. I mean, I
Yeah.
really do. It makes a huge difference.
Well, what is the strongest muscle in the body?
Would it be the heart, possibly?
The
Or
heart.
the heart? The heart?
The
Okay.
heart brings in all the oxygenated blood now from the artery, from the vein. The vein brings it to the body, the artery to bring it out. Now we need that blood to flow through the circulatory system, right? So we need to exercise. There's things that you can do at home that you don't have to go to the gym. My point is to show you those things that you can do at home that's more cost efficient and effective so far as time management is concerned. Time management brings about the fact I got to take the kids to school. I got to go to work. I'm working two jobs to survive. What can I do at home? There's a multiplicity of things. There's a box of things that we can open up for me to share. And so what you do is you call me up and I come to the home, or you come to the gym and I show you the facilitations of this right now. I mean, we're running specials right now. And it's like a 2 for 1 because we're trying to help people from our neighborhood that I've helped set up at our facility for people who don't have the availability, or we can learn these things like on the Saturday, right? And take these things home and utilize those things so they can become profitable for us.
Now let's talk targets because, like you said, the big problem, and it makes sense the way that you explained it, is it's really that we need to be re-educated. Just all the way around. We need to be
It is not a re-educated. We need to be educated.
educated the first time. We need to be educated for the
Yes.
first time.
Yes.
And so, to help the people that are listening, what are some targets that they should be looking at? Because I did some research, and according to the CDC, it says that only 1 in 4 people, 1 in 4
Mm-hmm.
adults, are actually meeting the recommended activity guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, only 1 out of 10 people are eating enough fruits and vegetables on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what are some targets for those two things that people can focus on?
Well, first of all, we have to find out where a person is so far as their genealogical line. It's very important for you to go to the doctor to find out your gene, to find out where you came from. Okay. It's very, very, very important.
Okay.
Okay. Where your grandfather came, what did they have? Did they have Alzheimer's? Did they have chronic heart disease? Did they have diabetes? Did they have hypertension? Did they have high blood pressure? Seeing how that may connect into where you are present. Number two,
Okay.
there has to be a point now, at some point in time, where cardiovascular exercise is now applied to now your life. If you have steps in your house, there's things that you can do. So, what do I mean by that? I have to, at my age and what my body can do, meet the necessities of now my target heart zone rate, my THR. So I would have to do an assessment. And these assessments I do are free. What did assessments do? They let me know where you should be at your age, at your body now recovery, its period. Now what I can have the input and the output. Now the input and the output is supply and demand. Okay. So there's things that I would have to be in here for 2 or 3 hours, brother, to show you, because now when we're doing cardio, now what am I doing? I'm strengthening up that heart. Okay. That heart now brings about old in blood and brings out new blood that facilitates all the oxygen and nutrients that my body needs. It also helps me to resuscitate and gives me more energy, because now it's utilizing not just the food that I eat, but stored fat, converting it into usable energy. But if you
Okay.
don't get your heart rate up at an applicable amount of time, it doesn't do you any good.
So for
So
someone
we have
starting
to.
out, do you like suggest like the target heart zone? And that's something I never really thought about, the family history piece, and so I may come back to that. But on the target heart zone, do you suggest that people get something like a Fitbit, or how do people track that heart zone to know that they're being effective?
The Fitbit is great. I strongly just say you can't afford it. You take your heart rate, count the number of beats within 10 seconds, and add a zero. Okay, that's where you are.
Okay.
This is very, very
So,
simple.
so your heartbeat for 10
Count
seconds.
the number of beats within 10 seconds and
Okay.
add a zero.
And that is
Okay,
zero.
that's where you are. Now, let's just say you're a person that is, say, normal weight between, let's say, 18 and 28.
Okay.
Okay, your heart rate needs to be at 150 to 155 beats. And so, what we want to do is understand this: cardio is best done first thing in the morning, because we have a minuscule amount of glucose stored as glycogen in skeletal muscle tissue. Now, I have to break that down, because if we're eating before we do our cardio, what we're
Right.
doing is we're burning up what we just ate, not what's being stored. I'm so enthralled about the fact, or I'm moved, if you would, in that case, of people that want to lose weight, but they don't understand you want to lose body fat. Because if you lose just weight, you're going to have flabby skin. Right? You have 5 different layers of skin that expands. Right? The biggest organ in your body is what?
Your skin.
Your skin.
Right.
Right? And so now the skin expands. Now you have flabby skin because we're not building muscle and we're not converting now that which is stored and converting it into usable energy. That can only be done by cardiovascular, because again, we have muscle metabolism, we have heart metabolism, and we have digestive metabolism. Now, I
Okay.
just say in the morning when I get up, right? The very first thing I want to do is, so, and this depends on if you have high blood pressure, depends on if you're diabetic. You take some form of berries, then you get on that treadmill. Because I would have to write this out to you, because in the glycogen storage, you have glucose. What is glucose? Glucose is sugar. Sugar that comes from slow or fast. Your carbohydrate, which the long chain comes from oats, comes from wheats, from rice, from potato. Okay.
So now, is that where is that I don't mean to cut you off, but is that where it comes into when you said the fast and slow carbohydrates? I believe is what you're talking about. Is that
Now we're
like
talking about the slow.
okay? Is that where they recommend that you eat sweet potatoes versus white potatoes and brown rice versus white rice and
And I'm
wheat
gonna get to that.
white
I'm
bread?
gonna get to that.
Okay,
Let
okay,
me get to that because
yes, sir.
you are correct.
Okay,
Okay. Now we want the fast if you have a medication condition
okay,
because now you can get dizzy, asphyxiated, you can have imbalances, okay, and your equilibrium, everything can be just thrown all off because now we need something now to facilitate the pancreas and the insulin levels, all that. So we got to bring that up, okay? So those that are diabetics, you have the outline as to how to do this. Now, what we want to do is deplete the glycogen stores that has the glucose. Because as long as you have a large amount of glucose stored as glycogen, that's what you're utilizing as your energy source. That has nothing to do with aerobic exercise. Because what is aerobic exercise? Aerobic means with oxygen.
okay, okay.
Now, anaerobic means without oxygen. That means I'm not going to get my heart rate up. So that means I can do my aerobic exercise without eating. Now,
Got
what I suggest
it.
for those that can afford is to take L-carnitine and maybe hydroxycut now to make the body thermogenic. What is thermogenic? Thermogenesis means I increase the body's heat index so that my body burns fat faster, converted it into usable energy. Now remember, your triglycerides, your fats, you have HDLs, LDLs, high density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein. All of these facilitate energy. Okay, so you have the good fats and the bad fats. The good fats come in through like your protein meats, they come in through like your plant foods, they come into the peanuts, all these different types of things that now brings about a more healthy presentation to the body. And the body now utilizes that and breaks that down. But in the morning, dealing with aerobics, you ought to do it on an empty stomach. Okay.
Fasted
Now,
cardio.
right. Because now I'm emptying what little bit I have. Now, remember, it's been about 8 to 10 hours since I've eaten. So the
Right.
word breakfast means what?
Breaking the fast.
I'm breaking my fast.
Okay.
Okay. So while I sleep and while I slumber and I do nothing, for a person that works out, I'm only talking to those people that work out with weights, your body sends out testosterone. The body has a garage in it called protein that it pulls from, so that your body now can rebuild what is broken down. Now let's switch it just a little bit from the aerobic. Well, let's stay with the aerobic because I don't want to confuse anybody because I'll go too fast. The aerobic part is a point now I want to take my aerobic exercise and I want to put it in at least 45 minutes. Why? For the first 20 minutes, I'm burning at my target heart zone rate. Now, again, I went up to 28, let's say from 35 to 45, depending upon your level of activity, depending upon your weight. Okay,
Okay.
that's why I have to do the assessment because I have to do your body
That
fat.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, because if a person is, say, 18 or 20, but they're 80 pounds overweight, I can't have them at their normal rate where they should be,
As far as the
right?
heart.
Because these people are called morbid or chronically obese. Obesity has a lot to do with performance. It has a lot to do with the knees, has a lot to do with the range of motion, has a lot to do with recovery.
So
Okay.
let me just
So
let me ask you this. So for someone, so when I came to you, I have a background in athletics, and so I was kind of accustomed to training. I just knew that I
mm,
needed to get in there and work, and
mm,
get the
mm,
weight off. For
mm,
someone who's been sedentary for an extended period of time,
mm,
and weight is a real issue.
mm,
I've got a buddy. He's on his journey now. I'm gonna definitely refer him to you.
mm.
But the issue that he's telling me that he has is his energy levels to be able to even complete the exercises.
Mm.
Um, where does someone start who may be extremely obese, maybe and they're in that extreme category? Where do they start so that they can even, get to the point of the 45 minutes of cardio, et cetera?
The three main factors we want to look at is take these bullet points: time, duration, and intensity. Okay. First of all, you don't start that person off with 45 minutes of cardio.
Okay.
Okay. You start that person at a low level, low impact type of cardio regimen. Have them start off with 15 minutes, then add in 20 minutes. Then after maybe 2 weeks, add in 30 minutes, depending upon the apparatus, whether it be a treadmill, an elliptical, or a stairmaster. You don't have these people running, and I see people do crazy things. They can barely get their heart rate up, but they're trying to run, thinking running is going to change and tap into fat storage. And no, it doesn't.
Mm.
Running makes you fatigue. It's a lot of heavy now poundage on your knees, the ACL, MCL, all the points about your knees. It can cause plantar fasciitis, which now you have that pain that goes up under the foot. So there's a lot of things that are, let's just say, it goes against the grain. We want things to be simple and normal when you're first starting a person out. And the first thing we have to understand is the food intake. Now, with aerobics, you don't need food. Okay, you don't. And when you're doing a 45-minute regimen, a 20-minute, you want to stay away from the food because now we want the heart now to facilitate its function. But the fat that's stored underneath the sebaceous parts of the skin, we want to utilize that as an energy source. Now, 20 minutes is not long enough, but it's a start.
It's a start.
But
It's a start.
remember, in many cases, people say it ain't how you start, how you finish. But oh yeah, in this case, it is how you start.
Mhm. Now, one
Okay.
thing I can say from personal experience, excuse me, once you do get started, your energy does pick up over time and your
Yes.
capacity, and you're able to
Right.
expand your workload. And so, for
You
someone
want to
who's
know why? Can I tell you why?
sure,
Because blood is now bringing all the necessities that your body needs that it hasn't gotten. And what does it bring? It brings oxygen.
so that blood flow. So, for someone who's been sedentary, their blood isn't flowing at the same rate as someone who's active. And so, therefore, the nutrients are just kind of sitting versus being distributed throughout the body the way that it needs to. It makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it that way.
And
Never
so
thought.
a person does, they swell up around their feet. They have low back problems and stomach problems. Why? Because now they have no core, they have no ability, they have no range of motion. It's all limited because they
Mhm.
sit, sour, and they soak. What something does when it soaks, it blows up, it becomes no good, and you end up throwing it away. And your body, for some people, is almost like they're throwing it away because you have a low level of activity. Now, look, here's a part of this scenario that I use. Brother AL, Brother Johnson, if you had a car inside of your garage,
Mhm.
does it need gas?
Yeah, no, no, it's just sitting there.
Okay, let's turn it on. Does it need gas?
Absolutely.
Okay, how much gas does it need?
Enough to get where you're going.
But it's in the garage, brother.
Well, I guess you don't need none if you ain't going nowhere.
Ooh, but it's going to burn some gas, but you don't need to really put a lot of gas in it because it's not going anywhere.
So the issue is people eating more than they move, for lack of a better, the input versus output.
Supply and demand,
Okay,
right? Well, I'm not demanding my body to do anything, so why should I supply it with anything?
got you, got you.
So now we gain weight, which causes now the perpetuation of high blood pressure, chronic heart failure, hypertension, hypotension, which causes all different types of situations to happen to the endocrine system.
Now let me ask you this, because I had a question specifically from a lady. She wanted to know this. So a lot of the women, I know you train men and women.
Oh, yeah, tons of them. Yes, yes. I've been
So
blessed.
I guess it's maybe a misconception that you could possibly clear up. But a lot of women, I hear them say, "I don't want to lift weights because I'll become bulky." And there's a lot of sisters, everybody, women want to be thick nowadays, in certain areas
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And I was watching a video yesterday, and they were talking about how people will take on unhealthy habits to get the body they want. When in
Mhm.
actuality, a woman should be lifting weights to gain muscle for the shape that she wants. Is that correct?
Let me give you facts, and this ain't fake news. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Women do not have the same testosterone levels as men. Men are made different than women. Women carry a lot of estrogen and progesterone in the body, which are female hormones that don't facilitate masculinity. Now, when you see a big woman that has a whole lot of muscle, normally what happens is that they are taking some type of enhancement, performing enhancing drug to do that. The
Okay.
bodybuilding on that level. Now, what happens to black women, and let me give you a fact, in my 30 something plus years in this business, training thousands of people, the one thing that black women specifically say, I don't want to lose my butt or my backside,
Right. Right.
right? You know why? Because that's a drawing card, because that's all they see. That is something now that men look at and they say, ooh, baby, that's their ooh, baby. But the ooh, baby now is they're missing the fact you got all this body fat in the underneath the bra, around the waist here, but they want to have the backside. And so then the other part about it is that, can you take away my stomach? You can't spot reduce, ladies. It
Yeah,
ain't
I hear
going
that
to
a lot. I
happen.
hear that a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I
it ain't
want to
going to
work out, but I don't
happen.
want. Right. I want to lose this,
Right,
but not this.
right. And I'm too big here. I'm too big there. You too big everywhere. And I just got to be straight with you. And I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm not trying to be a misogynist. I'm just saying the whole body and what you're used to is a culture in which you live of overweight people from your house to your church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what you see is what you get by what you live, and you are a product of the environment that you come from. No, you can't do that. Well, I don't want to be 140. That's skinny. Skinny, man, you are 38% body fat. You are 2 or 3% away from being morbidly obese, which at a time, by the time you're 60 and 70, you're going to have some health related conditions if you don't take care of that baby now. It's a fact. And I've trained people I've flown to Florida, to Atlanta, to Ohio, to Arizona, to California. I've trained a plethora of people from different parts and walks of life. And you got to understand, it's very important, women, to keep your body fat in the 20s, not being in the 30s. So you need to get an assessment to find out where you are so that you can make a difference of where you're coming from. You have to do it, and it has to be consistent. And here's the 4 Ds. I'm going to lay this out to you, ladies, and this is for the men too. First of all, you got to have the desire. Okay. Number two, you got to have discipline. Number three, you got to be dedicated, and there must be a determination behind that.
Definitely.
Okay. So the desire now is the points of behavior. Once we start out, brother, and I just wish I could just have everybody in one room. The behavior piece about is that we have a pre-contemplation. Now, I'm about to bring this thing down psychologically because you went to another place. Now you took me, so you took me there.
Let's go.
Okay. I know I need to do it. I got a party to go to. I got my daughter's thing to go to. I got to go to a wedding. I got the Super Bowl. I got the pre-Super Bowl. I got the post-Super Bowl. I got something. Da 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 da. So what we do is we come up with excuses. You know what excuses are? Excuses are monuments of nothingness. They will build you bridges that will lead you to nowhere. Those who use these tools of the incompetence are masters of nothingness.
Mm. Mm.
Excuses are nothing more than a well-planned lie.
So I agree with you. So everybody's busy, like you said, mother, she's working, father, he's working. You get home, you're tired. How much time should a person realistically dedicate to their health and their fitness?
Okay, now we have pre-contemplation. Now we contemplate.
Mm-hmm.
Contemplate means I need to take the time and I need to set aside, okay, this whole point in my life to prioritize how valuable am I? How valuable am I to myself first, then to my kids, to my husband, to my family, to society? If you don't feel value to yourself, if you feel devalued in any kind of way because of life situations, you're not going to pay attention to those things. So me telling you this, unless I talk to you, means absolutely unequivocally nothing. You are valuable. You are born into worlds, into priesthood. You are God's child. You are valuable. You are something that God has made that has the likeness and the imagery of Him. You are somebody. You are important. You are the person that's purposeful, that has now this point of honor before God and should be honored before men. But first of all, you must honor yourself. Then, after the point of contemplation, now we have to come up with a plan. Now you have to get with people that are constructive in that type of environment that you want to now live in. A drug dealer stays around a drug dealer because he wants to keep taking drugs. A
Right.
person that wants to stop taking drugs gets out of that whole arena of drugs so that he can live his life different.
No,
So now you have to stay away from your buffets. Okay, you got to stay. And I'm not trying to down any restaurant. The Golden Corral, that stuff is garbage, man. And I'm being straight with you. Stay away from these foods that are just totally tearing down the body. But you got to understand again how valuable your body is. So we need to know, what do I need to put in my body to make my body healthy? How is it important? Because now the importance of what you eat kind of gives you the outline of how long you live. Well, my auntie lived to 103. How many one of your aunties or uncles lived to be 103? How many lived to be 90? How many died before the age of 60?
yeah, see, and that's where I really had to start taking mine seriously, because when I look at my family history, there's very few people that I can name that live past the age of 75. You know, and most of it is heart related. A lot of people had diabetes, high blood pressures, a lot of strokes, a lot of heart attacks, and so I had to make a decision for myself. We haven't spoken since then. My father, he passed away in October. He had COVID, but he had a lot of other
I'm so sorry to
complications.
hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
I appreciate that.
So sorry to hear that.
Um,
So sorry to hear
and what accelerated that situation was that he was on dialysis, kidney failure. He had heart attacks before. He was overweight, and I can't help but think that he possibly would have had a better response to it. Had he been in a better physical condition.
that. More quality of life.
Yeah, the quality of life.
You can live old but not have quality of life.
Right, right, right. And so here's a question that I have. So I was at Planet Fitness, and I was actually speaking to one of the managers there at one point, and I was asking him. I said, considering this commercial building, all the equipment, the employees, there's a lot of expenditure. And when I was going there, I would go in the morning, I would go in the afternoon, I would go at night, and I would see pretty much the same people no matter what time I went. And so I'm like, okay, this place is only $10 a month. So how could they possibly afford all of this? And he said that you would be surprised how many people have the membership but don't even go. They don't even go. And so, sometimes, just kind of like with the life insurance business that I'm in, sometimes people feel that it's enough to call me and get a quote. They feel like they did something. But if you pass away, your family isn't going to get any money until you actually take out the life insurance. Same with the gym. Buying the membership isn't going to help you lose weight. You actually have to go. So, can you speak to the idea that actually having a personal trainer, someone who's able to motivate you and hold you accountable, how important is that piece to physical fitness?
Here's the 3 points: commercialism, ideology, and psychology. Okay, let me tap into this. Okay. First of all, commercialism says that if I sign up 5,000 people at $10, I'm only really looking at maybe 20 to 10% of them even showing up. So why
Right,
should I
right.
care about the 80? The ideology now is money, because they have what, Pizza Tuesdays?
Mhm.
How you gonna feed somebody pizza and they're trying to lose weight? To put that subliminal things into their mind of something they're trying to get. How am I gonna be a drug rehab, but every Friday I smoke weed, or I take cocaine? Come on, man.
Mhm.
But what happens is that you deal with people that just don't mind, and they got $10 to give away. Well, if I got 10,000 a week, I'm gonna have a facility too. But they don't care. They don't have the empathy or the sympathy for the person in their life. It's about money and the dollar bill.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those people are not getting results at that place. They got a place to go. If they
Right.
get it, they don't. But I got a $10 check coming in from 10,000 people, which now I can open up a plethora, a community of Planet Fitnesses. They don't teach nutrition. They got personal trainers that what? They graduated out of elementary school of the education of this. They don't care about you. It's a book that they read. You have to have a trainer that has walked the walk and talked the talk, that has been down the road that you've gone through, that has overcome, and that looks like what you're trying to become. And I don't want to look like him. He's all buff. Well, at least I'm buff and I got something to show by what I'm saying.
So let me touch on that too, because I have had people tell that I was, kind of letting my network know that you would be on, and there were people that said, "Oh man, well, that's great, and you're into lifting weights, man, so that's your thing or whatever." But I'm not really into lifting
I'm
weights.
into a lifestyle, brother. I'm into a lifestyle. I'm
Right.
not
And
in
so,
just the lifting weights. It's a lifestyle.
yeah. So can you speak to people that they see you as a bodybuilder, they know that you're a personal trainer and that you can help them lose weight, but they can't get around your physique and what you've decided to do with your body. A person doesn't have to be extremely muscular to be healthy, you know,
Exactly.
and
You're
not
correct.
experience things that we talked about heart disease,
Yes.
etc. And so, what is there a big difference in the routine of someone who's going the bodybuilding route, who's trying to gain mass or definition, versus someone who just wants to be overall healthy? Does that look different as far as the training?
But what I don't do is I don't wear white beaters. I don't try to exploit my body and its anatomy.
Right,
That's not
right.
the drawing card. But what happens when a person sees me, he must know something about what he's trying to get me to do. So
Hmm.
now that I flip this over, it's not just what I do in the gym, it's what I do outside of the gym that lets me know what I can do in the gym.
What do you
I
mean by
took,
that?
okay, in other words, I took Pastor Barnes of Spruce, and I had some other people. I used to have 20 people to go with me to California back in the 90s, right? And so we stood outside of the gym. Now, watch this and what I'm saying very carefully. I says, watch the people that go inside that gym, right? So we watched them. We were out there for like 2 hours. We got there 1 o'clock. Our next session was until 3. And we stood out there talking, enjoying the sun, da 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 da. Now, what I want you to do, tell me how they look when they come outside of that gym,
Hmm.
right? So they looked and they did like a little report of who they saw go in, da da da. And I says this, if they look the same coming out the gym as they did in the gym, that tells you what's going inside in that gym.
Oh man, listen. When I go to the gym, brother,
Come on,
I'm telling
somebody.
you, it's
Come on,
more people on
somebody.
their phones than on the machines or whatever.
Oh my
I'm
God.
telling you,
These young they
I really
texting the
do.
whole time.
They literally, I'm telling you, some people literally just go to the gym for a photo opportunity for their Instagram or whatever. Because I've seen, I hate to say it, but more women than men. I've seen them actually come in, hop on the machine, get the perfect lighting. They all dressed up, Nike head to toe, take a nice picture, and walk right out.
We do the same thing at church, brother.
Mm, yeah.
We go to church because it feels good, because we messed up during the week, and maybe God will forgive me that day. But we don't make any change on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday by what the preacher says, because it makes us feel good to be there, but there's no change in there. The changes when we come out of there.
Mm.
And what I'm saying is this, I've learned in my life there's been so many things that I have messed up on in my life. My life has been imperfect, but God has taken this imperfect vessel, this person now that has repented, this person now has confessed now the wrongs that he done. It's because of his grace and mercy that now has interceded into now my life changing. But when Jesus says that the very first thing you have to do before you follow me is to do what? Deny yourself. So when a person is drinking and they're eating wrong, you got to deny these things that you're doing to make a change. So now there's a desire to make a change because I understand the necessities and the problems that can happen if I don't. Then I have to be in a situation, I have to quarantine myself, incubate myself. That means I have to discipline myself from those things that brought me to the problem. There's certain things I had to get away from my life now so I can do it God's way and not my way.
That's right. That's right.
And so now from that, I have to be dedicated. I'm not going to fight. I'm going to fight the good fight of faith. Every time I get on that treadmill, I'm going to fight. I'm going to win. It's not going to beat me because greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I'm going to go in and I'm going to hit it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to quit. There's no quit in me. There's no days off. There's a grind I'm going to get.
Man,
So
stop,
on
bro.
my way,
You got me ready to jump up and do something now.
man, come on, do some jumping jacks with me. Do some
Man,
push-ups,
listen.
my brother. Because
Now,
see, on my way to the gym, I've already overcome because I'm more than a conqueror for them that diligently seek him. So God is in my prayer, in my mind. I am more than a conqueror. And then the Philippians 3:11 says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. So how can I go into something now that I need, that now I have a lack of strength when I got God on my side? If God be for me, there's nothing in that gym that can be against me.
that's for sure. That's for sure. Now, I got a question here. I got a question. So, like I said, I've got the men's group. We're doing some great things. Doing some great things. I'm gonna send you some information on it. But one of the things that we talked about a lot of times, the subject of body positivity is centered around women feeling positive about their bodies. And men, we just generally don't talk or share our insecurities. And so, as a personal trainer, having dealt with thousands of people and helping them through that process, how important is it for a man to feel positive about his body and what he sees in the mirror?
Can I answer Brother Melvin Brown? He has a point. Ain't that something? Either way, you're not bidding from it, church or gymnasium. That's not true. Because remember now, when you go to church and to the gymnasium, when you go to church, you're sowing seeds. Okay. And you never know when that seed is going to now make a tree, but you want to plant it, but you don't want to put it in stony ground. And you don't know who is going to take the benefit of now this particular place of now the gospel or now the gospel of the physical body. Because now what happens is you're planting seeds. If you had no place, that person would not have a place to grow now the tree. And the tree is known by the fruit it bears. He says, I am the tree, you are the branches. What are the branches? The branches are the believers to bear what fruit? You don't know what's going to happen to those people that come out of Planet Fitness. Somebody's going to get it, and you're going to have some people don't. You have some people that will, you have some people won't. Broad is the way of destruction, but narrow is the way. Now that those that will make into a greater or better place in their life. If you look at the gym, you only have 3% of the people that are really in shape. You only have 3% of the people that know what they're doing. You have not because you ask not, because you don't have the desire. But when you come to a person like me, I require the point of accountability.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to work and walk in life without the point of accountability. Now, let me get to the point of what you were saying, brother. Men have different issues. Okay. Now, let me ask you this, Brother Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Who is your biggest audience?
I say my children. That's who's
Okay.
watching.
Can I stop you there? Because a lot of people say that. Do you have a mirror beside you anywhere?
I don't. I don't. No, sir.
Huh?
I
Well,
don't.
I want you to get a mirror and put that mirror in front of your face. That's your biggest audience.
Okay.
Because either
Okay.
you're going to clap or you're going to say boo.
Right. Right. Right.
What if a man has low self-esteem? What if a man has erectile dysfunction? How do you think he's going to feel about himself psychologically? So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that men deal with obesity,
Mhm.
not being able to see your belt buckle, not being able to see your feet. How do you think
Right.
that person feels about meeting somebody, about being with somebody around socially?
Right. Right.
Okay, if they have nothing to pull from, they may not have an education to pull from. They may not have a good job to pull from. They may not have the economic base to pull from. They live in a lavish house with 6 or 7 bedrooms and drive a Bentley or drive a Mercedes Benz. So
Mhm.
we have to take that person and meet them where they are. So what I do is I take a person and sit down and have consultation with them to get them step by step, piece by piece to a place where now they feel important Every day that you live, every day you get out of those sheets, God has given you another chance to get it right. When you don't wake up and you're in a box is when it's the end. When that box is open and you're out of it and you're out of the sheets, now you're living, you have another chance. God is not giving you the spirit of fear, but of love, joy, peace, and what? A sound mind. As long as this mind is now active, as long as your heart is beating, you have a chance to do better than you were the day before. That's the mindset now that you have to have inside of you. That inside of you is what you see outside of you. But if you don't put the right things inside of you, you're going to see bad things outside of you.
And so when it comes down to it,
Huh?
when it comes down to it, it's really just a matter of it's a matter of sacrifice. You know, are you willing to sacrifice the fried chicken? Are you willing to sacrifice the extra sleep? Are you willing to sacrifice sitting around watching sitcoms versus getting active?
But brother, obedience is greater than sacrifice. But who do you obey?
Mm.
Do you obey society? Do you obey the TV, sit down couch mentality, the games that you play? Or do you get around people who will help you make that change? What Michael says, going to make a change for the rest of my life. This is something that you have to dedicate yourself to for the rest of your life.
And you'll have a longer life because of it.
A more quality life. Because understand now, here's this vicissitudes. Even though there are people that have healthy, there are people that have died because of pre-existing conditions. Some things you can't help, but are you ready to leave something behind? Here's a point that I want to make. Do you want to leave a reputation or do you want to leave a legacy?
Mm. What's the difference? What was from your viewpoint? What's the
See, a
difference?
reputation is somebody who never really got focused or got themselves in a foundation where now they were now in a point where they were rooted and grounded in anything. And they went seriously to and fro and to, and they never planned anything that somebody else can follow. A person that has not the point of not a legacy leaves something behind that somebody can be elevated from, that came from a low impoverished place in their life, not just economically but socially, not just socially but psychologically, not just psychologically but also come from a point where a person is low in their spirit. They have been lifted up beyond the veil that you have left by something you have said, how you've lived, something you have done.
Yes,
And
sir.
so with this comes, they see a person that has a desire, they see a person that's disciplined, they see a person that's dedicated, determined. What the question is, what are you dedicated in doing?
Wow, wow. Now, let me ask you this, and we're close to wrapping up, but there's a couple questions I have to get out. I have to get out. So, like we talked about at the beginning, it's really a matter of conditioning. We've been conditioned to eat the wrong foods. We've been conditioned to be sedentary, especially in the Black community. There's the economics issue. There's the proximity to food, etc. For our children, for those of us who are raising children, what can we do to start them off on the right track as far as making exercise a priority, instead of giving them candy and snacks of one nature, maybe we convert that to fruits and some other things. What do you say when it comes to raising children to be healthy?
Well, first of all, my brother, I got to get down to the conversation that needs to be spoken. What kind of family do I have?
Okay.
Is the
Okay.
father, and I'm talking to the man, are you involved in your children's life?
Absolutely.
Are you sitting down and breaking bread with them, showing them the dichotomy and the outline of now what breakfast, lunch, and dinner is? Are you there giving them the right information? A person can only now do what they've been taught and what they've been around and what they see.
Right. Right.
Now, when a mother's trying to work two and three jobs, or let's say a man is trying to work two or three jobs and the mother's not involved because it works on both sides of the fence, what choices do you have? You sit down with a brother. As of myself and others, as of myself, I'm the longest running Black fitness center facility in Kansas City that I know of at this point.
Yes, sir.
And you sit down with a brother that has been through mistakes, that has not lived a perfect outline, that found his way through now people helping him and sharing with him another way of looking at life, that has turned his life around in so many ways to go forward. Just because a person looks good doesn't mean their life has been good.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
what has to happen, something on the inside of how I love you and I treat my kids shows up on the outside.
Hmm.
But I have to be educated. The Bible says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. If I'm not working, how can I show something I'm not doing?
Right.
So now I have to be educated. I have to be amalgamated. I have to be now put in a place where I can share something I'm doing
Mhm.
that will set the captive free, that will tear down the stronghold.
Now
And
I got
so,
to ask you this too. I got to, because you're right. You're right there. So as a pastor, and you help people with body positivity, you're a personal trainer. Like I said, you got women coming to you that want to keep the behind, lose the gut. You got men that want to, bigger chest, bigger arms, etc. How do you address the issue of vanity as it relates to being a pastor? Body positivity versus vanity. Where's the line?
can I be transparent?
Yes, sir.
I got to break down your pride. I don't care a doggone darn about your 400-pound bench when you got a belly that's a 55 round circumference,
Right,
right?
right, right.
No different than I'm going to have a person come to my church that facilitates in homosexuality, but here's a person over here committing adultery or fornication. A sin is a sin, but you meet them where they are, and you talk about the hard conversations that get them in the right road. I have to now not judge people, which I have no heaven to take or hell to sing at all. But what I do, I have to share with you what thus says the body, but I share with you what thus says the Lord.
Mhm.
And what I do is I try to help you and walk. That's why my phone stays open, brother. When people call me, I don't take me 2 and 3 days to get back with you
Right.
because the call in my life is to help you. The Bible says, for the strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. So where I'm strong, I will help you in your weakness to get past that point of where you're having issues and problems with, to give you a word of encouragement. And so what I don't do is I don't pray on you, I pray for you. And
Gotcha.
praying is not to God, it's things that I can suggest that I can give to you that will help you through the calamity and the storm. Because remember, there's a calm before the storm, but there's also a calm after the storm. So
Gotcha.
I give you hope.
Hmm. So,
Black
so
men need to hear hope.
I got you. So, and then last question here. So, for the children, what is a good age to start children with exercise? So I'll tell you, I've got two boys. I've been having them on a little exercise regimen since they were like 5 years old.
Mhm.
Do 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 100 push-ups, and 100 jumping jacks every single day.
Mhm.
Um, at what age can they start lifting weights and it not be a problem?
Weights is not the issue.
Okay.
And they start moving and you do it with them. So first of all, this go to this point of desire. I desire to get myself in shape so I can teach my kid discipline so they can understand dedication and determination. So you do it with them. If it's nothing but walking outside, if it's nothing but going outside in the driveway, let's do some little baby lunges. Let me do baby lunges with you. End up with 5 steps. At least they're doing something. Just sit down and take a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and teach them how to do push-ups. I
Right.
did my grandsons the same way.
Just
Okay.
make it
We
part of their
sat we
life.
sat we sat down in the front of the floor and we did push-ups together. Right? They do it for no slow down. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. Why? Because grandpa can do it. They're now following what grandpa can do because I'm teaching them right. But I can't teach them something I don't know. So what I'm saying, Get with a person that knows the psychology, but knows the anatomy, but knows now the exercise movements that what they teach, they can also do to help that child along the way.
And so, for us to have healthier and more fit children, we have to become healthier and more fit parents ourselves. Lead by example.
The Bible says if you train up a child in the way that they should go when they get older, they won't depart from it. Now, that doesn't happen at 100% because you have children out there that have healthy parents. However, something that's happened psychologically that has distracted them or deterred them now from the way they should go because they have their own mindset. But what you do is you try to keep being the example along the way. Hopefully, a change will come. Paul says this, not looking for those things that were once behind me. I now look for those things that are before me. I'm going to press towards the mark of helping my child by first helping myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Man, you've given us a lot of good information. I've been taking notes here. First person wants to check their family history. They need to learn about what their target heart zone is. Diet is extremely important. Fasted cardio if you're looking to lose weight. Doing the cardio in the morning because you have less glycogen that you have to blow through before you're actually being effective. You also said that it takes
Where's
desire.
glucose?
What was that?
Okay, you want to burn. See, glucose is the sugar. Anything
Right.
that is a carbohydrate is glucose, which is a sugar.
Mhm.
You want to make sure when you're doing cardio that's depleted. It stores as glycogen in skeletal muscle tissue. Now, once we burn through that, where do we get our energy from? Stored fats. Also, our water intake has to be up. I always say for a person that is overweight, take 64 ounces of water before 1 o'clock, 64 ounces before 7 o'clock. What does that do? That flushes out and moves out subcutaneous water. A lot of people don't understand that it's about 10 pounds of you. It's water retention from alcohol, from drinking pop.
Mhm.
Pop
Okay.
is the worst that you can do. The carbohydrate expands the stomach. If the stomach expanded, do I feel like eating? I end up eating maybe twice a day. One breakfast, either lunch or dinner, right? Because it's filled with gas. Gas takes away from the process of eating. You want to eat every 3 to 4 hours, but you don't need the carbs at night. You know why? Because you're going to sleep.
And carbs are for energy.
You're not trying to have that kind of energy at night. You want protein. You want fiber so it can move out the digestive system, those things called fecal material, or with your bowel movement,
Okay.
which should be and look like a banana with the tip. If you have driblets of it, you got issues with your colon, with your intestines, your GM and the duodenum, which is the large and the small.
Mm.
And so now you can be dealing with constipation, which is another anatomy that I can spend 2 hours on.
Yeah, no, I see. There's a ton of information here. I definitely want to respect your time. I appreciate you really sharing this with our audience. For someone who's listened to this and they say, you know what, I'm ready to take that next step. I want to change my life. I want to get in. I want to get in shape. I want to get fit. What does that look like once they give you a call? What does that process look like?
Well, first of all, they call Mike's Main Event Personal Training Center. That's who I am. Okay. And my number is 816-916-3503. Now, you look on Mike's page, you'll see a plethora of different ways we do exercises. But the very first thing that it looks like is before I get in your body, I got to get in your head. We don't train at the main event with our bodies. We train with our mind. Before I can change the body, I have to now give you bits and pieces, not all the big words, but bits and I say those big words so that you can just see what I'm saying. I got to be able to break that down where you can understand the differences between a carbohydrate, protein, and a fat. So how do we first of all start with the diet? How did you get to where you are right now? Why are you even here? Because you sinned against your body. Now I got the minuscule small amount of people that want to bodybuild athletics that's small amount. Okay. These people are important, yes, but they're on a whole different level. I'm talking about the average everyday Joe who goes to work with the lunch pail that has the brown sack that ain't got nothing but a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What the heck do I do? How do I change that around? Well, my point is to show you and to share with you of the education and the experiences. And it's not just the education. You know what Dr. Hartsfield told me one time, and I'm going to be very short with this, try to be my best. He says, sometimes people say that experience is the best teacher. Dr. Hartsfield says this, that's not necessarily true. Sometimes good advice is the best teacher. Sometimes I don't have to go through things to know not what to do or what to do. Sometimes somebody can give me advice that I don't go through that could so one day cause me a problem. So my point is to give you advice and to hold you accountable if you submit yourself to the outline that I give. Now, if you follow that, I got 3 or 4 books of here. I got outlines of before and after pictures that are just outstanding. But people right now, the pastors that I've trained in the city, the athletes that I've trained in the city, I mean, from Neil Smith to Deron Cherry to Dan Salamua, I could just name tons of them that have done a phenomenal job at the time. But the point is this, when you leave me, what do you do? What have you learned? So hopefully I've impressed. Hopefully I've shared with you something that can plant a deep rooted seed that when the storm come, it ain't uplifted. When the birds come, the seeds aren't plucked up because they weren't in the ground deep enough. That's what I want. Is I want a lifestyle change. It's not about the money. God blesses me. Yeah, it is about the money. But look, God blesses those who bless others. My blessings coming because this is in my heart. You got to clean up what you messed up. Like the Williams brothers say, you got to start sometimes your life all over again. But the very first thing you got to do is deny yourself.
So once you've had that initial consultation with them, you've had the mindset conversation, you got them in the right headspace. What goes on from there? Is there an evaluation of weight? Body
Okay,
fat?
what we do body measurements, the shoulders, the chest. We do the thigh, the waist, do the abdominal, we do the thigh, the arm, bicep. Then I take a 4-point calibrate electronic, which I think is the second best. You have hydrostatic, you have impedance, you have the point test. I do this calibrate point test, in which I do the bicep, triceps, subscapularis, iliac crest, and then it gives me the number where you are. Okay. So then now I do an assessment on my profile, which is called the program analysis. Okay, what have you done? Where do you spend your money? And sometimes we spend our money on non-essential items like hair, nails, on clothes, but we forget about what the body needs, where the toes go, which is the foot and the calf, the thighs, where the pants go, the buttocks, the waist, where the clothes fit. Because now we get bigger clothes to hide the infirmity that we have in us to make us look in a way that we're really not.
Mhm.
What I make you do in your mind, this is in your mind. No, don't get what I'm saying. Don't get this thing twisted. I make you see yourself outside your own self in your without your clothes on. When you get up, not me, when you get up and see yourself in front of that mirror, what do you see? So we break that down by the measurements and by the body fat, right? Then what I do is I construct the diet and the training. Every day I see you, and I've got what Victor has been with me since 2002. I got a woman that's been with me, Cheryl Cole, since 1998, because they trust the professionalism. They trust the things that we do that keeps them moving forward because they don't feel comfortable doing it themselves because they need somebody to be accountable to.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
that's what happens.
And so is that why you would say that your results are the way they are because you're able to, from a scientific standpoint, evaluate that person where they are today and custom tailor a plan to them versus an individual, scouring YouTube videos, asking people that really don't have the knowledge and just kind of, making a exercise gumbo and just doing a bunch of different things, trying a bunch of different diets, keto and just doing all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that what makes you more effective is the scientific approach of collecting that data at the beginning about them,
Mm-hmm.
their family history, their
Mm-hmm.
measurements, their
Yes.
heart rate, et cetera,
Right.
and then walking them through that process, holding their
Right.
hand so they're not alone?
Like, say, for instance, in our sheet, we have, have you ever had a seizure? Are you on medication? Are you diabetic, chronic heart failure? Or you have hypertension? When's the last time you've had an operation? What did that consist of? Are you on a preventive medication? Who's your doctor? Do you have a doctor? Do you have insurance? Things like that. Now, let me get one thing, point two. I don't impose my faith into where you are unless you ask for it. A person can come in a Muslim, a person can come in an atheist, a person can come in an agnostic, a person can come in that is Jewish, that's a I don't care who you are. Your body doesn't care what faith it is, but your body does care what discipline it does.
For
So
sure.
let me make sure that's it. This is not about converting anybody to anything other than changing your lifestyle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, with all this stuff with the assessment, I have to now delve into what got you where you are. And is it practical? Is it reasonable for you to look like that you say you want to be? Everybody don't have the genetics to be a Tyreek Hill. Everybody doesn't have the genetics to have a Mike Patton, right? Everybody, and I'm just an average Joe so far as I'm concerned. I'm one of God's children. Everybody doesn't have the physique to be an Angela Bassett. But Angela Bassett just didn't get to be an Angela Bassett just because her name is Angela Bassett. She works her butt off in the gym.
Right.
LeBron James didn't get to be a LeBron James because his name was LeBron James. That man spends $1.5 million a year on his body with the gym that he has now accommodating now to what he needs to play on that level at the age of 37, playing like the boy is 27.
Right.
I'm almost 60, brother, and I still got a 500-pound squat, right?
Whew.
Because it's in my mind,
Mm.
right? I've trained myself. There's a difference, Brother Johnson, of exercise and training. Exercise is going through the motion. Training is having my body and my mind and the organization of my anatomy, both from the physiological piece, both from the digestive piece, the food I put in, to be trained so my body can be proactive, look, and now respond a certain way. So
For sure.
now, me as a trainer, you are accountable to me because you can't be accountable yourself because you wouldn't be seeing me if that was the case.
Right. Right. You'll be another one of those Planet Fitness members spending $10 a month and never going.
And you have this little guy with a little with a little clipboard that they hold. Oh, well, let me show you what to do next. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to get on. I'm just making fun now. I'm not trying to tear anybody down because
For
everybody
sure.
has to start somewhere. All I'm trying to do is say, you get what you pay for. And all you want to do is look at TV and take selfies, then go do it. And you're going to be the same way you were 10, 15 years from now, spinning wheels, going 90, going north, going nowhere. But when you get with a person that now can teach you the specifics of how now to change your life and your lifestyle by doing the simple, practical things, and you just sit up behind that desk and say, aha, I didn't know that.
Right.
It's now going to plant a seed that's going to help them along the way. And there's nobody that has come to my gym that has walked out the same way as they came in.
I know I didn't. So I didn't. Now listen, I gotta address this. I gotta address this. So brother Melvin Brown, he says, I don't want to appear as a Debbie Downer, but perhaps it's necessary to address the fact that although we should practice good habits, we can still die and be physically healthy and not have any underlying conditions. I've seen that happen in my own family. This is not hearsay. I would say my take on that is there are several benefits to exercise. And so, he's right. Like you said, everyone's not going to completely eradicate any potential health issues, but it's also about quality of life, just how you feel every day when you get up and when you're moving around. When you got to take a flight of steps, what does that feel like? Is your heart racing? Can you get through it? Do you like what you see in the mirror? Your self confidence. And so, can you speak to that? The fact that maybe a person may still have health challenges, but it's still important to take their health seriously.
I'm gonna, brother Melvin. I just want to hope this makes sense what I'm about to say. When you have people in the political arena and they say they care for you, their best interest is about you, you must remember that some part of that is not just about you. It's about their political appearance. You can't take politics out of now how they feel about how they want to take care of you. What I'm trying to say is this: I'm trying to connect the dots. When you live your life, you only have one life to live. You don't want to end up in general hospital with all my children, to living your life in dark shadows. Now, y'all from the days that I grew up, y'all know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is this, is that you must understand that exercise is important because your body is made to move. You lessen the chance of now these conditions, especially to our black folk that have been now subject to all of these health related conditions. Understanding this, we only make up 12.5% of the population. We have the highest death rate growth. We have the highest incarceration now at facilitation of correctional institutions than any other culture. But we only make up to, it's only 47 million black folk in America. We have over 55% of them that die of chronic conditions because we don't take care of ourselves. Now, let's just say if we took care of ourselves, how many more black folk would still be here? Let's just say we got educated and we put now our desire, if we put in now our focus about ourselves, how better off we be. So now we can take the opposing factor of optimism or pessimism. That statement is true, and I'm with you, brother, but I'd rather look at the more optimistic piece than the pessimistic piece. I want to look at the fact, if I do this, will I be better? Or if I don't do this, I'm going to end up that way anyway. No different than people that that they think about getting out of being poor. But if I think poor, I stay poor. If I find out how to way now to become rich, I will find out how to get out of being impoverished and being poor. Because I start hanging around those that have more than I. But I don't let that be my pride. What I do is I take up on the point of this. Yeah, I'm gonna die somehow, but I ain't gonna die without trying. I may not be a billionaire, I may not be a billionaire, but I'll be a thousandaire. Okay? I may have a 2 bedroom apartment or house, but I ain't gonna stop there. At least I thank God I got one. But there is another 5 bedroom place that's up for sale. Let me build my credit. So one day I can get a loan to do that. Let me hit the type of job that can facilitate now what I need to pay for that house. Let me get to a place where they got a good trainer, a good credit report, and now I can take that to build credit for my body because my body needs to move. Or I can sit and just die in the kind of way I want to die. I ain't going out like that. It just won't happen. When I go to church to learn and to receive. Because why? I need to have hope that I'll be better than I was before I came in. I don't go to church for you. I don't go to the gym to be a selfie, to take a selfie for nobody. No, I go to church. I go to the gym. I go to church because I need help. Just because you're a pastor don't mean you got it together, brother. The pastor's sitting in front of the altar because he needs the altar probably more than you. Come on, somebody. I'm on the treadmill. I'm lifting weights because I need to stay healthy. I read my Bible because the word now says this: faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Your health changes by hearing what you learn. The more you learn, the more you know, the more you know, the more you grow. I don't want to be 80 years old and frail and can't move with head forwarding, chronic situations in my back. And I got arthritis and Mr. Brucitis all through my body. I ain't going down like that, brother. It ain't going to happen. I got a God that loves me, but I got a mind that wants to be in a place of discipline, that I can be better than what I see other people have let themselves go.
Man, you hit the nail on the head with that. You did. And you gave us a lot of information. I'm very grateful for that. I appreciate it. I believe anyone who's listening or tuning in has picked up some valuable information. In closing this out, again, this is Black History Month. It's American Heart Month. We're talking about being healthy, taking control of your life. Um, of course, like I said, if you just go about your same habits, your same eating habits, being sedentary, not getting around, moving, you can expect that you're going to have some health issues that you could have otherwise prevented it. And just like Mr. Patton said, I personally made a commitment a couple years back that when my time comes, which is going to come, if I can help it, it's not going to be something that I could have prevented. I don't want to look up and be laying in the hospital bed knowing that the only reason I'm there is because of my choices of food and the fact that I just couldn't get up and motivate myself to get to a gym. Mr. Patton has decades of experience. He's helped thousands of people, from professional athletes to pastors, just to the average person. And so he can definitely help you. Mr. Patton, can you just share really quickly, like, how people can get in touch with you, the name of your gym, where it is, and what you can do for them?
I want to address this point now. Then I'm going to close.
Yes, sir.
There's a certain thing called inevitability and probability. It's inevitable that I'm going to die, but it's probability that I'm going to live a long life by taking care of myself.
That's right.
Okay, remember that. Okay, now my name is Mike Patton. I'm owner of Mike's Main Event Personal Training Center. I'm at Total Body Fitness, 3680 Northeast Aiken Drive, Lee Summit, Missouri. To contact me, just to have a phone consultation, call me at 816-916-3503. That's 816-916-3503. Now to email me, it's Mike's Main Event, the number one, at gmail.com. Now, if you want to go to my wife's website, it's Mike's Main Event PTC.com.
And we'll
And
put
you
all
look
that
up and you see
information.
all the outline of my, I'm sorry?
We'll put that information in the comments as well, so that people can get that. Yeah, brother, I definitely appreciate your time. Mike's Main Event.
Oh, I appreciate the honor, brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Definitely check him out. People, take control of your health. This is an opportunity for you to work with a great gentleman. A ton of knowledge. We could have went on and on and on. I know he barely just scratched the surface, and so we do definitely appreciate that. Again, I'm A.L. Johnson. This is Elevating Men, the premier destination for men who want to improve their lives. Stay connected with us, because we're going to be bringing you more expert interviews, people that are at the top of their field who can help you develop a better life. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below, and we'll be addressing those. And share this broadcast, because again, our community is hurting, physically as it relates to our health, and it's something that we can help. So let's do that. I appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks a little bit, baby. Turned it that way.